We are starting with the blue background of your desktop today. Welcome back to the off-grid garage here in sunny hot Australia. It is sunny hot. We've got like 30 degrees. It is noontime and we are fully charging the battery now. Once again, this is number 4 or 5 since we started the testing and increased the charging voltage to 57 volts now. I've slowly increased it over the last couple of days because it seems the balancers are doing a bit of a work on each of the battery banks now, bringing the voltage together so we can charge to a higher voltage. So we're close to 56 volts now. The Heltec BMS in the top shelf is balancing cell number 1 to 10 plus cell number 15 now. We have a deviation of 86 millivolt. JK in the middle battery is using the active balancer to balance the batteries. Deviation is 70 millivolt. And the Overkill BMS in the bottom shelf is balancing cell number 1 to 13 now. But we really have to wait until we charge a bit higher. We are at 56.7 volts now, as you can see. So it's charging very quickly. It should increase the voltage frequency. Yeah, it just does it now to turn off our tilt system. Yeah, you cannot see that. I'm not recording the screen here either. So 51 Hertz, there you can see the frequency is going up, while the power output of the tilt system is going down. We are hitting 57 volts now. This is the maximum charge voltage I've set in the MPPTs. And the Overkill BMS in the bottom shelf has actually just turned off charging. The charging MOSFETs are off. While the Heltec BMS in the top shelf battery has not turned off charging. It is still charging with 15 amps. It is balancing 197, but it will turn off any second. 3.6. No, it doesn't. 55 amps into the batteries. It looks like... now it has turned off. Heltec has turned off. The JK is still balancing. It's the only battery in our battery shelf which is connected. And the Overkill in the bottom shelf has also turned off, balancing cell number 1 to 10. 175 millivolt deviation. It has come down a bit. It was over 200 when we started the test 6 days ago or something. Even the Heltec BMS came down from like 250 to now 220. So it is actually working. Oh, and now even the JK has turned off. We hit a 3.65 volt with cell number 10. So all 3 batteries were turned off and the system is still going. Because if we have enough solar, the Victron MPPTs go into absorption mode, keep the voltage at the set voltage, 57 volts in my case, and supply power to the multiplus or to any other load, and you won't feel anything even all the batteries are turned off. So we can see even at 57 volts now we have still some kind of imbalance here in these batteries. So we should be at 3.57 volts or something per cell if they were all balanced. But here 185, 114 and 200 millivolt, 210 millivolt, 220, 230 millivolt. There's still some work to do for these BMSs and balances. Now you can basically see all 3 BMSs doing their job and protecting the battery if one cell hits 3.65 volts. The next battery just recovers because it's balancing, the voltage are coming down, and then it turns on the MOSFETs again. Keeps charging until this happens again. So they are cycling through this turn off, turn on situation all the time now. And I think the JK BMS will be the only battery or BMS then which will stay connected for the next hour. Because the absorption current will come down and the 2 amp active balancer in the JK BMS will then be able to keep this BMS under 3.65 volts. So, and now we want to have a look at the Overkill BMS in the bottom shelf battery, because all the cells have now come down in voltage to 3.55 volts. Cell number 7 is the highest, the red one, with 3.554. But in the next balance cycle, you can see it balances the right hand side and the left hand side. It may come down under 3.55 volts and then the charging MOSFET will turn on again. And we can probably see a huge current spike. There it is, 55 amps into the battery, 60 amps. And now it's getting charged again until one of the cells, number 7, hits again 3.65 volts. This is now the only time when all the other cells, cell number 11 to 16, are getting charged. There's no current flowing right now. It's a passive balancer. It balances the high voltage cells, but all the other ones, which need actually charging, are not getting charged because it's turned off. And this is the cycle these BMSs go through now all the time until the lower voltage cells have recharged a bit and the higher voltage cells have come down in voltage a bit. And because we have measured that there is a 1.5 ampere hour difference between the cell with the lowest voltage to the cell with the highest voltage in this battery, it could take up to 15 hours now because we got a 0.1 amp balancer. And speaking about this battery here, with the last test we did with this battery, we have measured cell number 50 because it was the lowest voltage cell. And we have fully charged it to 3.65 volts with an additional 1.5 ampere hours, right? As you remember. And I thought about, well, I should take this 1.5 ampere hour out again. So it is on the same state of charge as it was before we started testing. But I totally forgot about it. Because our visitors arrived then, and then the day was over. And I forgot to take this 1.5 ampere hours out again. But now after several days, I can see cell number 15, which was manually recharged to 3.65 volts, is again our lowest battery cell. And I thought, how is this possible? Why is this not one of the higher voltage cells now? It got an additional 1.5 ampere hours with our testing. But it is again the lowest voltage cell. And I had a look at the older videos, I linked this down below. This was a QSO delivery. And one of the cells got damaged during transport and they replaced this one with a new one, which was apparently in line with the same internal resistance and voltage and all this kind of stuff they always promise. And I replaced the faulty one, this one with a dent, with the new one they sent. And this was exactly cell number 15. So I'm not sure if there is something wrong with this battery cell they have sent me, or maybe it was never fully top balanced afterwards. I can't recall, this is like a year ago or so. I don't know if we have actually fully top balanced and fully top charged this battery then afterwards to integrate this new cell into the top balance of all the other cells then. Well, I guess we will find out, but this is just what I observe right now, that cell number 15 is again our lowest, despite having an additional 1.5 ampere hours. So there might be more to this story as well, I don't know yet. And by the way here, I have no hesitation to reuse this battery here, replace the number 15 again with the damaged one. There's no leakage, there's nothing wrong with the aluminium container or so, and the battery measures perfectly fine internal resistance and also capacity, holds the voltage as all the other batteries. There's no difference at all. It is just this little tiny dent in the corner, but it doesn't affect the functionality of this battery at all. So maybe if this replacement cell number 15 is somehow faulty or so, I'll put this one back in. But I hope it's just an imbalance and it will finally figure it out. It is now 45 minutes later and we have just reached float mode. So that means we have lowered the voltage from 57 volts charging or absorption voltage to float voltage now 55.2. And this is still above the flat part of the charge curve. So the balancers will still work and balance our batteries now until the sun sets or we have a higher load than we have solar production. So the Heltec BMS in the top has still the charge MOSFETs turned off, even the voltage is lower already. That is weird. It is balancing cell number 1 to 10. Deviation is 150 millivolt because we've got a lower voltage now. The cells are coming together anyway. So that doesn't mean we have balanced the battery down to 150 millivolt now. It's just at this voltage. The JK the same, 55.2 volts. And deviation is still around 50 millivolt in the JK. So it's not too great either. But I'm not concerned about the JK because it will sort it out eventually itself. And our problem child, the bottom battery, is not doing anything. It's 180 millivolt deviation and the balancer is turned off. because the Overkill or the JBD, the Jabata BMS has a charge balancer. Yeah, if you go into the menu, go into your function settings, you can see you can enable the balancer, which we have, of course. And there's also a charge balance enabled. And this will only balance your battery if there is a charge current into the battery. But most of the time now, and there's no load changes in our system, the BMS sits on idle and doesn't do anything. Even it could now perfectly balance this battery, it won't. Well, you could say, well, then you turn off charge balance. And now it keeps balancing our battery pack. As soon as we start discharging or charging the battery now, so your amps are going either positive or negative here, it stops balancing. While the Heltec or the JK BMS, they don't care if you charge, discharge or idle your battery. They just keep balancing if your voltage is over the start voltage. Well guys, so far this video from today, watching these 3 BMSs balancing at a higher voltage now, it's the most boring stuff ever. But I promised you a quick update what's going on after a couple of days. So here we are, still doing it. And if there's really 1.5 ampere hours missing from the lowest cell to the highest cell, it would take around 2 weeks to fully balance this battery then with a passive balancer, if we are balancing for 1 hour each day. So let's keep doing it, and I'll keep you up to date, I guess. And again, for all my new viewers on the channel, I'm actually on purpose changing parameters in the wrong direction and see what happens. Explore this and share this here on the channel so we can all learn from that. And here we have set up the battery shelf now with 3 different BMSs, the Heltec, the JK BMS and the Overkill BMS there. And now we have changed the absorption and float voltage here to see if this makes a difference in balancing with these 2 BMSs in the top and bottom shelf and their passive balancer. So I'm not going to replace these BMSs with JKs, an active balancer, or even connect an active balancer to these battery packs, because it will just work. We know this is a working solution then. This is not what we are doing. So this will be a test over the next 2 weeks. And then we will have another look at the batteries and how they balance and the deviation. If it has made a difference. We don't know. Let's find out. Thanks a lot for watching and being with me today, guys. Thanks for all your great support here. All your hundreds and comments and almost the same amount of emails. Please do not send me any emails. I cannot respond to them. Leave all your information, your questions, or if you want to say hello, down in the video description. That's where I am. That's where everyone else is and helps out. That's where you get all the information. Until the next video, guys, when we do something different again, you stay charged, stay safe, and thanks again for watching. See you then. Bye-bye.